and welcome back to the Music Career Show. My guest today says that the feeling she gets from playing guitar makes her feel beautiful, confident, light-hearted and at peace. And her goal is to share that same experience with others through her YouTube channel, where she teaches beginner to intermediate guitar lessons. And lads, if you've not seen it, go and have a look. Her videos are absolutely, they're amazing. And she was one of my top choices for guests when I started this podcast almost a year ago, specifically for how class her YouTube videos look. On YouTube, she is known as Guitar Goddess, and this is the lovely Michelle Joyce. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, how are you?
I'm absolutely riddled with hay fever, but other than that, I'm absolutely fantastic. So I am. How are you? Are you well?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for that beautiful intro. I had no idea that you're waiting like a year to have me on this when you were planning things out. That's so cool. Thank you. Like, what about, if you don't mind me asking, like, what about my channel specifically do you like?
Do you know what I absolutely love? And you can, anybody watching this on YouTube, on this interview on YouTube, can see it for themselves right now. Your aesthetic is flawless. It's absolutely flawless. Like your background, like, right? You've got your little kind of, I can't think of what the light is called, like the backlight. You've got your little like kind of fairy lights there, just creating a little bit of just something.
Yeah.
A nice little plant. It's all blurred. You're just, the aesthetic is just like, aside from the content is excellent, and the editing is excellent, and it's so just it's so easily consumed. Do you know what I mean? Whereas an awful lot of other guitar channels, they're more about, I don't know if they're more about just getting to the point of it, or if they're more about just like, we're quite functional, or if it's just an entirely different thing. But yours seems to be, it's like, if I was to go and learn how to play guitar in a really, really nice coffee shop, and I just feel like that's what your channel is about, and that's what really drew me to your channel, and how well your videos look, how flawless your editing is, how easy you make it all look. Even there was one video I think you did, I can't remember when it was, but you got an electric guitar, your first electric guitar in I don't know how long, and I don't think there was as much editing in that video. Maybe I'm mixing it up, but there was one video I specifically remember seeing that there wasn't as much editing, and even at that, it was just like, it just flowed so well. So yeah, basically in terms of YouTube, and I want to be you when I grow up.
That's so sweet. Thank you so much. The aesthetic thing I've always wanted to have a background that I love and that resembles my personality. And another part of it is making the viewer feel welcome. I want them to feel like they can be part of a space, even though it's online and, we're not in the same space. I just want them to feel relaxed and as welcome as possible. We have to give some credit to my husband, though, for the background for this one. He did all the fairy lights. He's a fairy light expert.
Love it.
He did all this. And the plants were also him. Like, he staged the plants and stuff. So this is like his set behind me, and then my set is to the side. So we share the set.
That's adorable.
Thank you. I like the coffee shop comment, too. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, no, genuinely, yeah, I'm trying to get to do that, but like, I play guitar and I talk shite for a living, so there's only so far that I can get with like the camera setup. So
I can give you some tips if you want.
I would absolutely love some tips, and I definitely do have that in the running order, because anybody that has listened to this that maybe hasn't come across you yet and goes and checks out your channel is going to want to know exactly how to do that. But before we get into all that lovely, wonderful stuff, I've said an awful lot about you. Why don't you introduce yourself in your own words and tell us what it is that you do?
Okay, well, my name is Michelle. For those of you that don't know me, I also go by Shell because I live at the beach, which has been my dream since I was a little girl. So Shell, because seashells, we love seashells. So live at the beach now. I started posting to YouTube back in 2009 while I was going to school pursuing a communications degree. And I was in my freshman year. And I was just posting cover videos, like of myself singing and playing guitar to mostly Taylor Swift songs, because she had just released her Fearless album. It was exploding all over. And those songs did really, really well. But I was just posting for fun and to just kind of get some feedback because I was so busy with school. I had a part time job working at a grocery store at the time. And so I really didn't have much of a social life. So I kind of just spent a lot of time in my free time online just posting these videos. And I grew this like really tiny audience. And I started to get comments asking, "Hey, can you teach me how to play this song by Taylor Swift?" And I never in my mind thought to make a guitar lesson video. That like never crossed my mind at all. I had no idea it was a thing. So I was like, well,
Yeah.
I'll give it a try. It sounds like a lot of fun. So I made my first video and it was really bad. It was like a 10-minute video, very like when I tell you, like, think of guitar tutorials today. They get to the point, they're very technical, well
Yeah.
produced. So this was filmed on my old MacBook webcam, like the whole thing. And I had to film it in segments because it only did like about a minute at a time.
Oh wow.
And I didn't even get into the song until maybe like 2 minutes later because I was explaining what a guitar pick and what a guitar strap and what a capo was. Like I was talking to the audience like they were in their very first guitar lesson ever.
No harm.
And the comments under it were like, just berating me for like explaining what all these things are and not getting into the song. So that was kind of like my first taste of like, okay, so I need to shape these videos a little differently.
Hmm.
And so with each video I made, I kind of learned how to make a guitar lesson for the internet.
Yeah.
And so I did that throughout my college years, and I eventually got a big girl job. And during my free time, I would make videos if I could. And I really wanted to escape my 9 to 5 because I was in property management and I was in a college town leasing apartments for college students or young professionals.
Yeah.
And I had my own office and stuff, which was really cool. But it was super draining. It's corporate. It was it was great. Like the pay, the benefits, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
very, very cushy. I even lived on site. Like my commute was 30 seconds. So
Class.
that was great. Reduced rental rate, awesome. But I wanted to get out so bad. And
Yeah.
so I would actually film videos on my lunch break. I had an hour lunch break. I would go home and I would film a YouTube video. I would make my lunch and then I'd go back to my office and I would eat my lunch in my office while I was working. And then
Yeah.
either at night or on the weekends, I would be editing videos. And I was staring at a computer screen all day already. So I am
Yeah.
fatigued. I'm so drained. And so I did that for several months. And there were even times where I would get like a sponsorship and I would have like a deadline that I had to meet. So there were times where I had to work extra hours at my 9 to 5 job, which
Uh huh.
sometimes there would be like this event like after work because we have residents, we're trying to get new residents in. And there was this one time I was actually editing a video when we had like an event going on, but I had other people to like help run the event. So I'm like sitting in my office and I'm like editing my video and just trying to get it done any way I can because I was just so motivated to just get out of the situation that I was in. And
Yeah.
eventually I left that job and moved home. Thankfully, my parents were really cool about me moving home at 25 years old.
Yeah.
And I started posting more videos because I had all this time. So I had my old bedroom at my parents' house and I I had to it was really hard for a lot of years because my dad especially wanted me to have like a normal job with like cushy benefits, a 401k,
Hmm.
all the safety net, everything. And it comes from a place of wanting the best for your kid. But with this type of thing, like nobody can tell me I'm not going to make it happen. Like I was so stubborn in that way to where,
Yeah.
my dad's in my ear about like, so and so's hiring, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, but look at this, look at the potential of this. And like, it's so hard when there's something you want to do, but nobody else can really see your vision. So
Yep.
there were times where I interviewed for other jobs and they somehow like did not end up working out, and the YouTube thing did, which was really crazy. So um, that's where I am now, and I'm so grateful that it's worked out. But it's taken a lot of years to figure out how to turn it into an actual career.
Yeah. It's only now, after like however long YouTube has been on the go. YouTube's been on the go for, it's coming up 20 years, like, which is crazy to think, but it is coming up for 20 years, and it's only now that people are actually,
Wow.
I don't know, when was it, like 2006? So we're halfway through 2023. So 17 years has been on the go. Is that right? 17, nearly 18 years. So coming up,
Oh no,
say it's
you're
17,
gonna make me
18
do
years. You know what
math.
I mean? I know, I don't know how I'm managing to do this because I'm terrible at counting, but anyway, but like it's only now that people are actually able to like sort of reverse engineer it and be like, I want to
Mhm.
be a YouTuber when I grow up. What do I need? Okay, here are the steps that you need to. When like I'm only 2 years younger than you, so we're roughly the same generation, same era. If I said to my man 16 years ago, oh, I see that on the computer there, yeah, it takes like half an hour for a 3 minute video to load. I'm gonna do that, and it's gonna be my job. And they're like, yeah, grand, okay, fair enough. Um, so yeah, I always say this on pretty much every episode that it's crazy how far the world has come, that this can actually be our job. Like, your job is sitting in a lovely, well lit, kind of aesthetically pleasing room and playing guitar to people that may or may not watch it. It's amazing. Part of my job is
Yeah,
talking to you, doing that, and in basically my fancy little shed in the middle of Scotland. Great, like, it's fantastic. Um, but
that's the
on that,
dream. You have a fancy guitar shed.
I do, exactly, and that's my job. My job is having a fancy guitar shed. It's class.
That's
It's absolutely the
amazing.
best thing in the whole world. Isn't it just though? Isn't it just? Isn't it class? I always love that. So, how did you get into music to begin with?
Yeah. So I started with choir when I was in middle school because I love to sing. Um, And weirdly, I almost joined band and was going to play clarinet, but then I like backed out last minute. I was like, I'm going to join choir. And then I even did show choir, where it's kind of like you sing and dance and all of that. And
Oh,
it was my 8th grade year that so it was 2004, and the movie School of Rock with Jack Black came out. So
unreal.
my dad took all 4 of us to the theater, and I had no idea what to expect. I like knew nothing about this movie. I left the theater in awe that night. I was like, I want to play guitar. I want to be
Hmm.
in a band. Like, this is
Yeah,
what I want to do. Like, this is what I was put here to do. So, the next Christmas, I got my first guitar, and
yeah,
it was like a big like electric guitar kit. Like, you're like your beginner kit, where it was like you got your electric guitar, mini amp, and it comes with like all the accessories. And I think it was a
yeah.
Dean Playmate. Um,
All right.
and it was a lot of fun to learn on. I started lessons maybe a couple of months after that, and I had 2 different teachers, and then I had a friend that came along when I was in high school, and she had a really nice acoustic guitar. And before that, I had never really touched an acoustic guitar before, and I was like, "This is amazing! I love this."
Oh,
I almost became part of an all-girl band where I was going to play electric guitar. Um, Unfortunately, that did not pan out. Maybe it was for the best.
oh,
I don't know. But my guitar teacher at the time had arranged a few of us female students to get together, and we would practice like one day a week. But I ended up being the only one practicing, so it didn't really go
oh
very far.
no.
Yeah, that's okay. Um, so really, I just played in my bedroom all the time.
Yeah,
And that was what I did during high school. And then I had my very first kind of like taste of like playing in front of an audience. And that was this choir concert we had called the Spring Sing. And I had a solo because I was a senior that year. I was graduating. And so I got to pick whatever song I wanted to play, and I got to play on my guitar.
oh, cool.
And the experience was, it was so incredible, Barry. Like people the next day, like the following days at school, were like people I'd never like knew at the school were coming up to me. They were like, "Were they you, that girl on the stage playing the guitar?" I was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, that was me." And like it was just so cool. Um And I started actually playing some gigs out when I got into college. So, coffee shops. I played at a movie theater. It was like a small little town movie theater. And I got like a 20-minute slot before the movie started because it was on a stage. And so I
Cool.
did that. I played at like certain events. And so that was kind of like my dip into music, kind of right at the start of YouTube. So,
Yeah.
um,
Cool. Can I just say, School of Rock, literally, same as you, changed my life. I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't say, "Cello, you've got a bass." Literally, I say it for absolutely everything and anything.
we
So
just said
yeah, yeah. I pretty much, even if I don't say it out loud, if I like, if I couldn't figure out how to get the lid off that pen, I'd be like, "Ah, cello, you've got a bass," and that's it. That is literally
true.
my success. Do you know what I mean? And it's
Yes.
also it's I had a similar ish experience in school when you were on about that you were that girl that played guitar. It's amazing how much your street cred goes up once people know that you can play music. Because I was such a loser in school, I
Yeah.
had no friends, no one liked me, and I was like, hey, if I was in school with me, I wouldn't have liked me, or I wouldn't have been friends with me either. But as soon as same sort of situation, school concert, I went and played whatever it was, the school concert, and we played like Freebird. And that was when people were like, "Oh, Jess Barry, he actually can sort of. He's not just an Egypt. Like he is an Egypt, but he's not. He can do something." And I was like, "Free cred went way up, especially when I got into a band with like the popular lads. So the popular lads could kind of half play. Well, no,
Yeah.
that's not fair to them. They could play guitar, but I could play guitar better, and that was just a fact. I didn't get in there for my popularity. I can tell you that. I got in there because I was good at playing, and my street cred
Mhm.
went way up. It's amazing how that happens. It's so much fun when it does.
That's so
Um,
cool.
so much fun, so much fun. So you went to college anyway, and you started doing your sort of smaller scale gigs and stuff like that. And was it ever on the cards that you were going to pursue this full time, or were you always going to do a job in communications? I don't know like. What is, for starters? What is communications? Just so I know 100%.
Communications can be a lot of things. It's like what we're doing right now. It's like
I didn't
it's
want to
so
say.
interesting. Like, no, I like to tell myself that I'm using it, because we're communicating, like making
Great
videos and
success.
making content. Yeah. So
Hello, you've got a
when I
bass.
July, you got a base. When I was going to school, the communications degree was to get me, like, I had a goal of maybe being like a radio DJ, or maybe being
Oh, cool.
like a news anchor or something like that. Just yeah, it was, I didn't really know exactly what it is I was going to do, but I had a couple of classes. Like, I had a radio class that I did where I got to be like a radio DJ, and then I got one where it
Cool.
was like a production class and stuff like that. But it was also a little bit like outdated because they didn't really cover social media, but like we were starting to dip into like the new world of like,
Mm,
social media and stuff like that. So I hope now it's like the classes are all updated because there was just nothing talking about any of it. Because it was
yeah,
still very new. Like, the iPhone had just come out like, a year ago or something like that.
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm sorry, I kind of forgot. I'm really chatty.
No, you're fine. You're
So
fine.
you're asking about like when did I ever think I was gonna do this full time?
Yeah,
I
like
think.
so sort of. Did you expect when you started gigging while you were doing your communications degree? Did you ever think that there might be something in the
Uh,
music that you might not want to be a full time communicator, that you might want to be a
oh,
full time
ah,
musicator?
absolutely. So when I was gigging, the dream was to be a singer-songwriter, kind of in like the like country genre. I was very like big on like Taylor Swift, Carrie Underwood, Miranda Lambert.
Yeah,
And I did a lot of songwriting during that time too. And I actually wanted to quit school at one point to like go to Nashville and like pursue that. And I didn't end up doing it because uh like I just was getting out of college and I needed to get a job. But
yeah,
also I kept on with the YouTube stuff, and that's when I actually had like a change, like a shift in what I wanted to do, and
yeah.
discovered my actual calling. But yeah, I did think for a little while about pursuing like music, like songwriting and playing in front of
Yeah.
people.
Also, Nashville sounds terrifying. As amazing as Nashville sounds as a musician, and knowing like the level of musicianship required to even walk into a pub with a guitar, it's terrifying.
It is. It's so terrifying. I did go there on a trip right after I graduated school. I went in the summer just because I had to go check it out. So I went to
Yeah,
this place called the Bluebird Cafe where that's where Taylor Swift got discovered. And I
yeah.
tried to get there like on time, and they gave me like a little stamped piece of paper where if I came back, I would be able to like go play. So they only have so many slots. And I went to every single hotspot in Nashville that had open mic nights, and I could not get into any of them because
No,
there's already like a line, or you could have had to like call in and get your name on the list. But I did luck out. The Bridgestone Arena there had this little visitor center, and there were these two guys playing on stage, and they were called the Song Dogs. And
I love
I
that.
started talking to them. Yeah, they were really cool. They were
Yeah,
like in their 50s, and they were just like playing like folky country music, and they invited me on stage to play a couple of my songs, and it like made the trip for me. It was just
Tra-
so cool. So that way I was like, all right, I got to play somewhere. But it was terrifying.
yeah. No, I've toured America, and I've worked as a professional musician for years, and even just the thought of I had one girl called Leilani on the podcast a couple of months ago. She was speaking about working as a full time like Nashville musician, and I was just like, nah, that's like I'd love to be half as good to be a Nashville musician, but just it's terrifying. It's terrifying, but it's
Yeah.
fantastic. It's great that that exists out in the world. So you mentioned then you had sort of like a sort of a mindset shift. What was that?
Mhm.
Was that was like you were shifting away from you don't want to be doing communications, or you don't want to be like kind of working in a grown up job for lack of a better term. You want to go full time at the music. What did you intend on doing? Was it
Yeah.
full time at the YouTube at this stage, or was it full time in music, or was it just did you have any real sort of plan other than I'm going to play guitar and sing my songs for a living, and whatever way that comes, that's what it's going to be, or did you have a plan?
So when my YouTube channel started to pick up a little bit while I was in school, it was kind of like a little bit of an indicator of like, oh, this could be something. It was really at the tail end of my senior year of college that it started to grow a little bit more. I think I had about like 5,000 subscribers, but it was still like pretty small. And
Yeah,
it wasn't until later that year that it's for some reason it started to take off. I don't know if I was posting. I think Taylor Swift came out with her Red album at that time. It was like at the end of 2012. And so
right.
I started posting like 3 times a week. So like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I stuck to a schedule, and it just started to grow exponentially. Like the
Yeah,
ad revenue, the subscribers, all of that. And I don't think I was even supposed to really be making ad revenue at the time, just the way that like YouTube monetization was. But I was with an MCN, and they monetized my channels. And so at first it like made it like very like, oh, I could do this. Like this could actually be something.
yeah,
So, and it combines all of my passions because it's, I get to sing, I get to play guitar, I get to teach. I love helping people. And
mm,
so, and I've taught kids that would like, they'd come over to the house and I would teach them in person. And I love helping people through, especially through the struggles of the beginner stage where people are more likely to quit. I want to
yeah,
be their cheerleader. So,
yeah,
that combined also with filming and video editing, like I love just sitting on the computer like editing. I thought it was just so relaxing to do. Not so
yeah,
much always anymore because it can get tedious, but it just
yeah.
combined so much in building community too. So it was just a combination of so many different factors that I just love, and it became like the perfect dream career.
Love it. And then obviously, as you said, actually, can I just touch on a point there? You said an
Yeah.
MCN. Is that what you said
Mhm.
for monetizing your channel? I've never heard of that. What
Yeah.
is that?
Really?
Yeah,
Um, Well, I wonder if they have these in other countries, but basically an MCN, I'm trying to think of like what it's, oh, multi channel network. Okay. So
Okay.
basically, this was big back in like the early YouTube days where one of these multi-channel networks, they would approach you with an email and they'd make you feel like really special. They'd be like, "We see so much potential in your channel. We want you to sign a contract and we will pay you this CPM per thousand views." And it was really low. But I didn't
Right.
know like at the time when I was like getting into, I was just like, oh, this is how I'm gonna make it big. Like this is how I'm gonna grow my channel. They like promised me growth. They promised me like collaboration opportunities, sponsorship opportunities, all these things. Well, they mainly worked with beauty and fashion influencers, and
Okay.
they decided to sign on 3 channels that I had. I had a channel that was purely for my singing and guitar covers, and then I had one for teaching guitar, and then I did have one where it's on private. My other 2 channels are on private, but it was like a beauty fashion one that I did for a little while cuz like when I was younger, I had those interests and
Yeah.
I grew out of that. So I think that's how they found me was through that channel, but they signed all 3 of them and I got locked into this contract for a few years and they monetized all of my channels. So back then, YouTube did not have monetization. Like you couldn't join the partner program if you couldn't make original content. So I think we're like all of us that work in the music field on YouTube are very familiar with like third party copyright warnings,
Yeah.
or I got strikes. I got 2 strikes because they were monetizing videos that weren't supposed to be monetized. And
Ah.
I was trying
Oh,
to get out of
this
this
MCN.
contract.
This MCN was monetizing videos that shouldn't have been monetized.
Yeah, I didn't even
Mm.
click monetize on my videos. Like I had them
Uh,
all unmonetized and then they went in and just like I don't know if their system did it, but they automatically monetized my videos. And that's how because I noticed my AdSense jumped and I was like, what's going on here? And so 2014 rolls around. It was like spring of 2014, and I got my first copyright strike, and that was horrifying because if you
uh,
get 3, like your YouTube channel's out, it's gone forever. There's no coming back. You have to start
yeah.
over. So then I got my second one, and this guy contacted me that had worked with like I think like Sony ATV Publishing, and he was building his own company where he was helping people that did covers and things like that be able to safely monetize their channel by doing kind of like a revenue share, like what YouTube has now, to where part of the revenue would go out to the publisher. So if, for example, I teach a song by Taylor Swift, she wrote
Yeah.
the song, so she's going to get part of the cut. YouTube, of course, is going to get part of the cut as they always do.
Yeah.
The the network that is helping me is going to get their share for being like the middleman, and then I get whatever's left over. So it doesn't
Right.
leave you with much, but this guy helped get me out of the contract I was in so I could legally monetize my videos. So for a while I had to upload my videos to a private YouTube channel that was linked to my public one to like uh, I'm trying to
Fail
think of like
safe it.
how it worked, but yeah, just like to help my videos not get caught up in the system. So that way my strikes would go away. And now my channel's safe. It's in great standing and all of that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that was scary because you spend years building an audience
Hmm.
and all of a
Yeah.
sudden it can just get taken away like that.
Just like
So,
that.
but yeah, the multi-channel network thing, I think it's kind of like starting to go away, but it was like a big thing for a while. But it did
Yeah.
help me like see the potential in like what I was
Yeah.
doing.
It doesn't seem like the most ethical way of carrying on. Having
Yeah.
no experience and like I said, I've never ever heard of this. But it doesn't seem overly ethical or overly ethical is probably not really the right way to put it. Doesn't seem to give you, the person behind the YouTube channel, an awful lot of consideration. If there's money to be made from your
Mhm.
channel, they're just sort of like trying to dip into it, is what it seems like. But maybe I'm wrong.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what it was. They're preying on a lot of like up and coming content creators that, of course, want to have success
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just dipping into that. And when I finally got out of all that, my AdSense went up because I
Ah,
started making the full cut again.
happy out, good
Yeah.
stuff. Well, any new YouTubers out there? Any new tubers? There we go. Keep an eye out. Be wary of these MCNs. They sound dodgy. I keep
Yes.
trying. I almost said the MCU, but that's something totally different altogether. That's like Avengers and stuff. Keep an eye out for them as well, like mine. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, that was a lovely little segue. I really learned something there, and I hope anybody out there that kind of maybe would have been in a situation where they've maybe been approached by this and kind of needed to hear what's just we've just been talking about. Hope you've heard it. I was going to ask you there before I asked about that. So, what was the actual catalyst for you then giving up your day job in like property? You said you had a really good job, really cushy job. It was
Yeah.
safe. It was really convenient, but it was obviously just getting in the way of. So, what was the final straw? What did it take?
Oh, so I remember this now. So I didn't work there for very long. I worked at another property before, and then I got to this one, and they did not tell me that the property was actually up for sale. So
Ah,
the property ended up selling while I was working there, and we we had a corporate management company that like would pay all the employees that worked there because the property, the way that it works in apartment communities is you have the owners of the actual building, but then they had a management company running it, and then here's
yeah,
all the employees like in the office. So this new guy that bought the property, he gets rid of the management company. He's just like slashing things left and right, and he was scary. Like, I was actually fearful of losing my job because he thought we were all getting paid too much, and we were not even paid that much to start out with.
yeah,
So he was talking about like cutting positions and all of that. So I was like, I am not going to stay here and let somebody else dictate, what happens to me. I'm going
yeah,
to make the move first. So I started kind of like, that's when I started really like starting to hustle with YouTube in my free time. But also, I tried to take a vacation, and my GM did not want me to take this vacation. My family and I would go to Florida like every year in May
yeah,
for a week, and um, my she didn't want me to leave during like the months of like June through August because we have what this thing is called turns, where all the students move out at the end of July, and then we have 2 weeks to turn to get the apartments ready for new
yeah,
residents to move in August for the new school year. So that was off limits, and I was like, that's fine. Well,
yeah,
I wanted to be able to go on this vacation the first week of May, just be able to like relax before all the craziness was going to kick in.
yeah,
And she was not going to let me do it. My supervisor, like, she's like spoke for me, and she's like, no, you need to let her take this vacation. So I was like, if this is how it's going to be, like, I don't want to stay here. Like, I don't want, it was just such a toxic environment. And like,
yeah.
people like were just like out to get you. It was so bad. And I
Mhm.
just always tried to like, and I was a leasing manager, so I had like people I had to manage too. And it's hard managing people. It's so tricky.
Mhm.
And I uh I just couldn't do it. I was just like, this is not for me. I did the best that I could and all of that, but I was just like, this is not what I want to be doing anyway. So I that's when I decided like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm gonna put in my 2 weeks notice, and that's when I made all my plans, and I packed up a U-Haul and I moved back up into my parents' house. So
Fair play. It's scary. It's
yeah,
absolutely terrifying doing that. I did it myself. I did it in the middle of COVID when I had absolutely nothing. I'd had enough, and I just left the salaried job, and I was like, nah, fuck it, I'm doing it myself. And yeah, it was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Like you said, at 25, moving back home to your man and dad's house. I was 27, 28, and I was still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. Like, it's terrifying, but I'm sure you'll agree it's the best thing you probably ever did.
it is. It's definitely the best decision that I had made for myself. And like, good for you too, like doing the same thing, like doing what you had to do to like get out of that environment and like
Yeah,
going after your passion, because that's
yeah.
such a scary decision, because it's like you think of all the risks, right?
Hmm.
But it's like you have this one life. That's what I keep telling myself. You have this one
Yeah,
life. And it's like, why not? Like, you can always go back. You can always just go back to whatever industry that you're in, like the 9 to 5s they're going to be there, but
Exactly.
like, why not take a chance and see where it goes?
Exactly. Yeah. And again, anybody out there listening that needed to hear that, you've heard it. Now go and get it done. Go and get it
Yes.
done. It's the best thing you'll ever do. It's the most scary thing you'll ever do, but it's the best thing you'll ever do as well. Um, so let's keep on going. This is great. So you left your job. You're like, no, fuck you. I'm going to leave before you can sack me. I'm going to Florida. Myself and Mickey are going to have the crack. And you were like, right, grand, you're doing great at the YouTube, and that starts turning along. And then you eventually sort of delved into the whole online course world. Um,
Yeah.
where did that idea come from? Did you just start seeing opportunity, or what? What was the crack?
So, well, I wanted to eventually be able to move out of my parents' house. So I was like, I need to do more than rely on AdSense because, for those of you that may not be aware, when you are a music creator of any kind on YouTube, it's a little tricky the way AdSense works because, I feel like everybody has this idea that every YouTuber is just like that has like a sizable audience is making a ton of money, just like rolling in the dough.
Yeah,
And that could not be further from the truth if you are doing YouTube in like the music industry because, for cover artist, if you're teaching songs, if you're doing anything that uses somebody else's songs, you have to do what's called revenue share. And so you have to share a significant portion of your AdSense. So we make like a fifth of what a normal YouTuber makes. So
oh,
I've
blue.
seen people, oh, yeah. Yeah. So I've seen people that have like the same amount of views, the stuff that I get, and they're making thousands of dollars a month on like AdSense alone.
Yeah,
And it's just like, so that was kind of like the thought behind, okay, I have to do something different. I can't just rely on AdSense because I'm teaching all of these songs that are, getting me tons of views on YouTube. It's growing
yeah,
my channel, but I'm not making anything. Like, I'm not making that much. So
yeah,
I did Patreon for a little while, and that helped kind of bridge the gap so I could like pay my bills and things like that. Um, so the course idea came into play because it was something that was completely my own. There's no payment split with any other entity. It's just me. And I was like, I'm going to create a website. It's going to be my own social media that I own, and I'm going to have
hmm,
my products on it. So I started planning this course at the tail end. Like, the idea came to me at the end of 2015, and it took me 5 years to release my first course. Long time.
yeah,
Um, and there are a lot of reasons for that. I am a perfectionist, working my way out of that.
yeah,
I had some imposter syndrome, and I also didn't prioritize it as much as I should have because I was like, I got to keep up with my YouTube channel. I can't let that slip. And it was just like hard to figure out how to balance the two.
yeah,
So I spent a long time in the planning stages of it, but finally got it out, and it's been amazing to have that as a source of income because I can just
yeah,
promote it to my email list. I have a newsletter. I can promote it on YouTube. I can promote it on Instagram. I could run ads if I want to. Like, there are just
yeah,
so many ways to promote that type of product, and it's digital, so I have no overhead cost. Like, that's the
yeah,
beauty of it too. You create it one time, and it's digital, so people can download it, they can just view it online. It's wonderful. So that was like my way out, like, of my parents' house, so I could like, have like live at the beach because that this was my dream. I
yeah,
kid you not, very like over 10 years ago, I was sitting in my old bedroom, and I was like envisioning the kind of life that I wanted to have, like down to my husband, like crazy. Like, I cannot tell you like how many things have come true because I either wrote it down or I envisioned it in my head on a daily basis. And now I'm sitting in it, and it's crazy. Like, I'm getting butterflies like thinking
fantastic.
about that right now. It's
Manifestations.
wild. Yes, manifestations, visualization is so
Yeah,
powerful. Um and also being very stubborn about your dreams. Like if there's something that you want, if there's something that you just feel like a pull to,
Yeah.
like don't let anybody tell you that you're not capable of doing something because they just like I think when people say those things, I feel like it maybe comes from a place of them not feeling confident that maybe they could do it. So, and sometimes I know it comes also from a place of like love, like they want what they think is best for you. But man, if there's just something that you can't like, it's just in your mind every day and you're like, I have to do this. Like you have to do it because the world is out there waiting for you to share whatever it is. Like think of how many ideas that never got created because people are scared to do them, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I'm feeling so inspired now. That's so yeah. That's lovely. And then I'm going to ask that like what I was just so captivated by that. I nearly totally forgot that I was doing an interview. I was like, oh yeah, that's amazing. So I'm going to ask a question now that I like. I'm certainly thinking, and I'd imagine anybody else listening out there is thinking. You decided to go in and monetize your skill set by releasing an online course. Took you 5 years to actually get it out. Once you got it out in 2020, how long did it take until that course was starting to pay back the previous 5 years? If that's okay to ask.
So no, that is no, it's totally okay to ask. It did. Like, I'm so surprised, like, how well it did right away.
Oh, brilliant.
I don't know if I could really yeah, I don't know if I could really scale, like, paying back those 5 years. That's so funny you mentioned that because like, that's kind of how my dad would kind of talk to me about what I was doing. We would go on these walks, and he would be like, "When's this course gonna come out?" Because I would, like, mention, like, "This is what I'm gonna do." And I said, "I'm working on it, I'm working on it." And he was like, "Well, you have to think about your time." He was like, "You could be at a job right now making 60K a year.
Uh,
So do the math, like add that up a year. What's that cost you?" But I didn't look at it like that because my expenses, thankfully at the time, were super low.
yeah,
So I didn't have a lot of bills, but it did really well when I first launched it because I did like several videos talking about it, promoting it. I emailed everybody that I had on my list. I actually did a thing too where when I made a YouTube video, I directed people to sign up at my website for updates, and it grew my email list like crazy. And so I did that. And then over time, it starts to like after like the big, like, whoa, there's a course, it starts to kind of
yeah,
like decline a little bit. So you have to like go back and, like run sales or promotions and things. And I usually would do like a big like holiday sale, like Black Friday through Christmas or something, and do like half off, something like
yeah,
that. And those do really, really well. So I'm still working with the marketing and promo sorry, the
yeah, right?
marketing and promo aspect I'm starting to get more comfortable with because like I mentioned before I even got the course out, I struggled with imposter syndrome. I struggled with the idea of even asking people to pay me to help them learn guitar.
Hmm.
So there were a lot of times where I didn't send out any emails talking about it, or I just didn't talk about it that much because I was afraid of coming off too salesy. I was afraid of just people thinking I sold out. But I had to get past that fear because,
Yeah,
this is a big part of how we make our living. And
yeah,
it should be okay to ask for that sale. Like it should be okay to monetize those things because these are skills that we've built over years that, we become experts at. And like I charge people in person, that I taught to. So why is it not okay to do it online? But, the comment section, I think a lot of times would get into my head because you do all these videos on YouTube and they're free, which is amazing. I
yeah,
love that YouTube is this free resource where anybody can learn anything. Um, but I think it put this like expectation that like everything should be free. So
yeah,
I was kind of dealing with that for a little bit. So it really took me until I would say like the tail end of last year to really get comfortable super promoting my course in a way that I
yeah.
should have been. And it's done a lot better now that I've been talking about it a lot more.
Great stuff. Well, look, listen, you're not alone. You're literally not alone. I think every single, not even musician, I think every single creative in the world is kind of like, we're terrified to ask people to pay us for the services that we do. Right now, this second, I am planning on overhauling and almost relaunching my teaching business after doing some changes and stuff. And the changes that I'm proposing to make for all of my existing students are going to benefit the students infinitely more, but it's also going to hopefully benefit me in kind, and that I can monetize it way more. And it's not the point of getting across the benefit to the students. It's the point that, like, I know that I can potentially benefit from it more. And that's the part that I'm terrified about. Even though I know, even though I've been doing this I've been playing music for longer than I haven't. I've been monetizing my skill set since I was 15. I'm 30 now. I'm still fucking terrified about it. And it's just, imposter syndrome's great, isn't it? Isn't it just the best thing in the
Oh,
world?
it's the greatest.
Yeah.
It's it's taken a lot of work to get over that. Like I still have seeds of like fear of that, but I think the more you practice it and like kind of like practice trying to get out of that mindset, like I think it gets a little easier, but it's terrifying because it's
Yeah.
the internet, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just need to think about Mr. Imposter who invented this syndrome and be like, here, hey, what's your problem?
Yeah.
And just like have it
Yeah,
out with him, and then you and Mr. Imposter are just like, nah, and then you're grand. Do you know what I mean?
exactly.
I don't even know where I'm going with that, but yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah.
I'll go
So
talk to
don't.
him.
Yeah, go talk to him. Go have words. But yeah, well, so look, you're not alone. And again, anyone listening, you are not alone. You are absolutely perfectly normal. And if anything, it's not having this whole imposter syndrome thing is not unique to anybody. If anything, you're just as boring as or as interesting as the rest of us. Whatever way you want to look at it, all of us have it in somewhere in us. But let's go back to talking about some positive stuff. So you were saying it took you 5 years to plan your course, and you said before we started recording there that you're potentially starting to plan a new course. Is that right?
I am. Yeah, I've had this idea for a while where I wanted the next course to be on bar chords, like beginner bar chords, because it's such a pain point for a lot of guitarists
Yep.
that are trying to bridge into like that intermediate stage. And
Yeah.
I've gotten so many questions over the years, and I wanted to put something together that was, like my beginner course, very step by step, but explained all of the fundamentals of getting into bar chords that took me so long to learn because bar chords didn't inherently take me a long time to figure out how to play. Like I had some challenges and things, but some of the concepts behind bar chords I did not realize for a long time with the shapes and how
Yeah.
to find them and all of that. So I'm going to teach that in a way that is very easy to understand, just very bite sized, and it's going to be a smaller course. And I just finished all the planning, wrapped up yesterday, and
Woo.
I'm going to begin filming it maybe around the very end of this month or very early July, and hopefully have it out by end of July or early August.
Oh, very good. That's a very quick turnaround.
Yeah, yeah,
I suppose you've probably put the planning in. You know what you're doing. You know exactly. Well, it's not even that.
yeah.
Of course, you know what you're doing. You know exactly what you need to do. You know what needs to be done. So it sort of takes half the work away, I'd imagine. But like for anyone out there, and I'm interested in this myself as well. So like, sorry, I'm sniffling away here now. Sorry if
You're
that's coming
fine.
across.
Hey,
Um,
Fever. Cut it out, man.
hey, Fever, hey. I love it. I love it. Excellent. Where was it? Yeah. So, what is literally the first step in planning a course? Bar, right? You've got the idea. You know, I'm going to do a course on bar chords. Next step.
Mhm.
What do you do?
Next step. So, next step is I sit in front of either my computer or a notebook and I just start jotting down any ideas that come to mind. And the other morning, I even woke up and I like turned over to my phone, which I don't normally go on my phone first thing in the morning, but I'm like, this is okay. It's not social media. This is just me putting it into my notes. So
Yeah, yeah.
I just put, because I don't want to lose any information, because that happens sometimes. You get a really good idea, and if you don't write it down right away, you might forget it.
Gone. Yeah,
So I always just put it wherever I'm going to be able to see it. So I just put it down somewhere, and then after I get all of the concepts down that I know that I want to go over, I start with like, okay, what's the easiest thing? An intro video, like just opening up the course, talking about it. So I write that first. It gets me started. And then I go into like, the next video and the next video. And then when I have it all planned out, I go through and I'm like, okay, are there any gaps that I'm missing? Is there anything I could have like added to this or covered? And that happened. Like there was an extra video that I added in because I was like, oh, I could like include this, and I think that would really help out. And so yeah, it's just a lot of like jotting down your ideas, and then I go through and I script all the videos out. So exactly what I want to say, and I'm not going to like say it word for word, but just to keep me while I'm filming,
yeah,
just to keep me on track, and it makes the filming process go by so much smoother. I do this for all my YouTube videos now. Every video has a lesson plan. It has a script that I follow, because I used to film my videos just like I would just go in there and I would just like film from beginning to end, and it would take me so long to get through a video. It's exhausting. So now I do like the easiest parts. I do like any talking head shots where it's just intro, outro, if there's something in the middle, and then I do all the teaching last. Because in my mind, if I can get the easier parts done first, it's like, okay, I get the ball rolling, and then I can
yeah.
get to what is a little bit more like intricate, difficult, and I'm already like in the process. I'm already in the flow.
Of course. Yeah, yeah,
So the same thing goes when you're building a course. You want to start simple because it can be overwhelming. Um, so once I get like I said, all of the ideas for each video down, it's like easy to just go in and script it and know what I want to say. And some of the videos kind of follow like a similar script because I'm teaching similar things, but in like each of its own video, because it's just very step by step.
yeah.
So yeah, that's what I do. I script everything out, and then um, I'm gonna do like a test shoot kind of thing where I have a day and I just set up the camera where I plan to like film in this room. And then once I have that done, I'll be ready to begin.
Woo! That's so exciting. You're so
Yeah.
organized. You're so organized. That's one thing I've taken from the past little while that we've been chatting is that you literally are you have everything absolutely sorted in terms of organization, which is so refreshing to see because so many musicians are like my bandmate gets such a slating over on this podcast. We were doing a wedding at the weekend, and he was meant to be out here for 5 o'clock, and I phoned him and I'd like it's about 15 minutes on the train, and I have to go and collect him and stuff, and like he was still asleep at 4:30 in the afternoon, and I was like, so yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely to see that there are musicians out there in the world that are actually really organized, and that actually kind of brings me into the next point. Or you're doing online courses and you're creating like online content and like stuff for monetization. You've also got, I noticed, a practice planner. Now that's another thing that I've
Yeah.
never actually come across. What
Oh.
is I'm going to ask the stupid question here now, and this is a stupid question, and it's stupid because I'm asking it, not because of the content of it. What is a practice planner?
So first off, that's not a stupid question at all.
Well,
um,
thank you.
no, of course. I just feel like there's like no like stupid questions. You just
No, to
you
be
just
fair.
gotta ask. If there's something, you just gotta know, you gotta ask. Um,
Well, I'm asking. I'm asking on behalf of the other people out there that don't know what a practice planner is.
yeah. In So basically, what it is it's a step by step guide that I created to help beginners figure out how to play their favorite songs. So basically, it's just how can I explain this in like simple terms? So I I take it day by day. So it's like 7 days, 7 day
Uh-huh.
practice planner. So I've outlined this guide where it takes you like day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and what you should do on each day that you have a practice session.
Yeah.
Because when you're first starting out playing guitar, you're trying to memorize your chords, and then you're working on your transitions, and then your strumming patterns, and then you're putting the whole song together. Well, a lot of beginners get stuck trying to do everything at one time, that it becomes frustrating and overwhelming, and then they just want to quit, and their guitar sits in the
Yeah.
corner and collects dust. Well, this is to prevent that from happening by giving them an easy step-by-step guide, because really what it all comes down to is your practice sessions. And this is something that I'm going to be talking about quite a bit more in my content to come, because this is something I'm still working with on myself, is really making my practice sessions like incredible, and not like
Yeah.
in the sense of like, oh, it's got to be like I'm learning like a new song every time and I'm like just nailing it. Like, no, practice sessions need to be what you want them to be. Like, I want to sit down with my guitar and I want to feel relaxed. I don't want to feel stressed out. I don't want to like hate practicing guitar. And I don't care if you just started guitar today or however long you've been playing, no matter what you are practicing, if you are learning something new, like there are certain things that you have to do, you have to work on to like get from point A to point B. And you know, doing a lot of like scale practices or working back and forth through chords can seem redundant and just not fun, but there's ways to make it enjoyable. So I talk about that in the practice planner. I have like a PDF kind of like ebook too that goes along with videos, and I outline ways that you can do that. And one of them is creating an environment, like finding a practice environment that you love to practice in it. Can you find a space that's quiet? Can you like make yourself a drink, have like some coffee, have some tea, like just
Yeah.
creating the space, but also it goes into like the mental aspect of it too. Like this is something I love to talk about, Barry. I love to talk about the mentality behind practicing guitar because it's so important and I think it's under talked about. Um, I think that a lot of people quit music because they just get to a point where it feels intimidating. It feels like they're never going to make any progress. And I'm like, but look at the progress you've already made. Like,
Yeah.
like that is proof already that you've come so far. So yeah, it's like helping people's mindset with that in a lot of different ways. And yeah, so that's my practice planner. It's a day by day guide, and it goes over like the mental aspect of practicing. And um, yeah, I think those things are just really important. So I wanted to put it into something that anybody could use. I have it as part of my beginner course, but you can also purchase it separately too. So if you're like not a beginner, you're like intermediate, it can still help
Yeah.
you. And it just really gives you like the fundamentals of what you need to practice. And it's stuff that you carry with you your entire guitar journey. Even if you're like advanced level, you still, if you're learning something new, you still have to go back to those like roots of like, okay, I have to sit here with these two chords I've never played before, you know
Yeah.
so that's really what it is.
That's genius. That's absolute. I've never heard of like I've heard of beginner guitar courses. I've heard of this. I've heard of that. I've never heard of that. And I don't know why I haven't because it's something that I know that I teach to a certain extent. That like what you're saying, as a beginner musician or as any sort of musician, you're learning to do a load of different things at once.
Mm,
Like you're learning how to move your fingers into a chord shape. You're also learning how to hold your
yeah.
plectrum correctly, how to get your hands out, get some fingers out of the way. You're having to learn to think, how do I read this music while keeping one eye on the guitar? There's so many little kind of
Yeah.
micro things that you're doing that people don't ever think of. That's brilliant. That's your communications degree right there. So it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's absolutely
Makes me
fantastic.
feel a little bit better about the degree.
Nah, nah, nah. Look, there's no such thing as wasted time. There's only such thing as it's taken you, rather than it took you 3 years to get a communications degree that you're never going to use. It's taken you 3 years to figure out that communications isn't for you in the conventional sense, and that you're going to use it over here instead.
Yeah, that's true.
There you go.
Thank
There's
you.
communications for you. Take that to Mr. Imposter, huh?
Yeah.
I love it. So before we sort of start wrapping things up, I wanted to ask you really quick because, like I said, you're very, very organized. You've got your shit together, basically. But if someone was out, you don't need grown up supervision for this anymore. You know what you're doing. But for anyone out there like myself that still requires grown up supervision, like anybody that's watching this on YouTube and will see my video compared to Michelle's video, it'll be like it's chalk and cheese. Do you know what I mean? What tips could you possibly give for someone that is wanting to pursue a career similar to yours? They're wanting to monetize their skill set by teaching music. It doesn't have to be guitar. They want to teach music on YouTube, repurpose that for TikTok or whatever it is that they're doing. But they're wanting basically to make a career for themselves online, and they're wanting to do it now, today, in 2023, where I would imagine the market is an awful lot more saturated than it was back in 2009 when you were started. What would your top tips be for that person?
Oh, that's good. So the first one that got me started is self-belief. You have to be your biggest cheerleader because no one else is going to do it for you until they see some form of success, like usually monetary. No one
Yeah,
else is going to be rooting for you to do this. So you have to make that jump. So I felt that pull and that excitement of wanting to do this, and I was like, I know I can see what I'm going to be able to do. Like I just know it. I believe in myself,
yeah,
I believe in my skills. Like I have everything I need within me to do this. So that's important. And if you don't feel that right now, journal about it. Meditate about it. Like find a way to pull that self confidence because you have confidence is already within you. You just have to access it. It's already there. And it can be hard sometimes when you're surrounded by people that don't see um, your visions or your goals that you talk about. So it's important too to, if you can surround yourself with like minded people, but try whatever you can to find that fire within you. Like please, like it's one of the biggest things that you can do. I always journal about things that I wanted to do. I put visuals in places. It's so important to build yourself up. The way you talk to yourself is massively important. Nobody is a harsher critic of you than yourself. So the way that you talk to yourself in here is everything. I promise you that. I'm still learning that. The second thing that I would say is discipline. So when I first started making videos consistently, I was hungry for success. I was very driven by that. But my discipline, I would say, was not always there. As far as showing up on camera, like I would only sometimes show up if I was having a good day. I wouldn't show up regardless.
yeah,
And I'm working on discipline right now in my life. So discipline is my word for this year. Actually, I've had some. I'm going to pull this aside here. Um, I had a little bit of a mental breakdown back in
oh,
March where I started having panic attacks because I was under a lot of stress. That's just like personal stuff that I went through, and I was unaware of what I was carrying. And I created a morning routine for myself. I never really had a solid morning routine that I stuck to. So now every day I journal and I write down things that I'm grateful for. I write down what I want to do that day, like what my goals are, what I want to get done, like priority tasks that are going to move the needle forward is so important. And then I sit and I meditate 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And these are like, this is to like calm my nervous system down, bring some peace into my life. Just take the time that I need to set myself up that morning. So that way, when I get into my work, I'm like level. And if something comes at me, if I see a negative comment, if I like something like that, it's not going to derail my entire day. It's going to help me show up better as a content creator on camera. So finding some kind of routine you can stick with because discipline is what is going to get you far. Like you have to show up consistently. Like when you're doing like when you're posting videos, like the more that you just show up, the easier it's going to get. And so finding ways to make that as easy as possible. If you can have a filming space that you can have like already set up with all of your stuff, whatever is going to make it easier for you. Like I cannot stress enough like discipline. Like I'm just
Yeah.
I think it's just because I'm learning so much from that this year. And the last thing that I would say is be yourself. There are so many personalities on the internet, but there's only one you, and that is your superpower. So you may think you're like the most dull, boring person in the world. Your people are out there. You know, like there is there is an audience for everything and for every personality. And I I love seeing people's just like individual quirks because that's what makes them who they are. So if you like went to school and you weren't the cool kid, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. Like sometimes I consider like not being the cool kid like a badge of honor. Like,
Oh yeah.
like it was tough during those years, but when you can just be your most authentic self and you're not trying to be like everybody else, like that is such a powerful thing to like not go with the crowd. So don't do that online. Like don't treat it like high school. Like just show up as you are and talk like how you normally do. Of course, we're like more animated and stuff online because of course we're talking to an audience, but just find a
Yeah.
way to like bring as much of yourself. Like treat the camera like you're talking to a person. It's like my rule, and that helps a lot. So self-belief, discipline, authenticity. Yeah.
Wow. That was lovely. Thanks very much for sharing that. That was I was not expecting such a, I don't know, a kind of a heartfelt, well-rounded kind of answer. That was that's after getting me right in the feelings, that has. So yeah. Anyone else
Oh,
out there that heard that, that's for you. Oh, it was lovely. Um
thank you.
oh, thanks. But yeah, it's one of the sort of consistent threads that I hear when I speak to people that have made a success out of YouTube, and is that consistency is key. But I think you've probably put it in the loveliest way that I've heard so far. So thank you very much for that. Um, before we head into a quick fire round and finish up, what is the next step for you? Obviously, you've got your new course on bar cards, and your discipline is your word of the year and all that kind of stuff. But what's next other than that? Have you got anything else on the go?
I do. I haven't talked about this at all, but
Oh,
I don't know when this is going to happen. It's going to be sometime this year, maybe at the end of the summer. But
okay.
I am working on creating some tangible products. So I don't know if I
Oh,
should really yeah, like tangible guitar products. So that's in the works. I'm going to see some prototypes very soon. Hopefully within the next week or so. But yeah, so that's on the horizon. That's been a dream since the very beginning when I started calling this guitar goddess. So that's
yeah,
exciting.
that is mega exciting. And no, and you've not told anybody else that.
No, I this is the first. So like if you're listening to Barry's podcast, you heard it here first.
Oh, how exciting! And are
Mhm.
you allowed to go any further into what those products may be, or do we have to wait?
I'm I'm gonna give like a little clue. I like to be kind of cryptic about
Okay.
sometimes when like releasing things, but I'll say that the first thing is going to be an accessory, a guitar accessory. Yeah.
An existing guitar accessory, or a new idea?
This one is going to be an existing one. Yeah, but there's the potential of something new coming too.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Well, thanks very much for sharing that as well. I don't know if I've
Sure.
had like a world. I don't know if I've ever had a world exclusive just yet, but I'm taking that as the first one if I haven't already. That's an absolute. That's an absolute win as far as I'm concerned. I'm delighted I finally managed to get you on. So this is deadly class. Okay. Well, this episode will be going out. If you're listening to this on the day it came out, it'll be kind of sort of late July, maybe even heading towards early August of 2023. Any idea of like a timeline for these tangible, amazing Guitar Goddess products?
I'm hoping August. That's what we're hoping for right now.
Okay.
So we'll kind of see. But that's where my prediction's falling right now. I would love it to still be in the summer if possible.
Okay, and will that be available through your? I suppose your website is probably the first port of call for that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
Okay, fantastic. Oh well, that is very exciting. That's super exciting. On that note, before we go into the quickfire round, if people are looking for to get in touch with you or to find your content or to find your brand new products or courses and stuff, where can they find you?
So you can find me on YouTube if you search Guitar Goddess. Same thing with Instagram. It's just Guitar Goddess TV. And then you can find me on my website, guitargoddesstv.com.
Okay, cool. I'll get you to repeat those one more time before we finish up. But let's jump into a quick fire round of just fun questions to finish off on an even lighter note than what we're finishing off on now anyway. So quick fire rounds, I always describe these as like icebreakers at the end because that's just how we roll here. So probably nothing to do with music, usually just stupid questions, but let's jump in and see how we get on. So here we go. First question. If you could learn any skill, what would it be?
I need to think. You know what? I would really love to learn how to play the drums. That'd be really sick. Yeah.
Drums is like so I play and teach drums as well, right?
That's cool.
And drums is actually one of those things where in your very, very first half hour lesson, you can play a drum beat and it will sound like a song. Drums is not easy by any means at all. Neither is guitar. No instrument is easy to start. Do you know what I mean? It's just not. But in terms of like how much time you have to put in order to get something that sounds good out of it, drums I think is the quickest because it's literally just two hands hitting something. And if you can count to four, you can play it. Well, if you can count to four, you can make a drum kit sound like what you hear in your head. It's not as easy with guitar or something else, but drums is that's what you should do. Go and learn drums. Imagine the series like that you'd have on YouTube of like Guitar Goddess learns drums. So it could be drums goddess. It would have to be something else though, because it's not you don't have the alliteration there.
The alliteration, yes, because like that's my thing. My thing is alliteration. I love that you picked up on that. Like that makes me so happy that you recognize the G and the G.
I've got you, and I know your husband is the groovy guitar guy. It's all good, or the groovy guitar. Yeah, it's all good. It's alliteration. I'm over it. You could be the drumming deity.
Oh, that's cool. That's like deity is a goddess. The drumming deity.
There you go. Grand job. Perfect. Yep. Okay.
Thank you for the new name.
Yeah, no bother. You're more than welcome. That's for you. It's special for you. It's that's how we roll here. You give me some exclusive exclusive content. I give you really good, witty, alliterative names for stuff. Ish. Right. Okay. Anywho, if you could live in any era, which would you choose? So any time in history.
Oh, honestly, I don't think I would want to change the era. That like it'd be cool to go back in time and like see like what it was like. But I'm trying to focus on the present, just the present moment. I'm right here, just being right here, right now.
That's a very, very mature answer. Let's finish up with two really immature questions. What is potentially this one. What is the funniest joke that you know?
Oh, I'm not a really good joke teller, but I'm really into puns. So
oh yeah, go for it. Yeah, I'm big style on puns.
I love puns. I usually I can't do this like off the cuff when someone asks me to tell a joke. It usually just comes up in conversation. Like I'm very cheesy to where like, we're making eggs for breakfast and I'm like, how are they? Are they excellent? It's like stuff like that where it's just like a play on words kind of a thing. So I don't know. Like
you did one earlier on. You did one earlier on. Hey,
Oh, the
fever.
hay fever. Yeah, see, that's a perfect example of like my humor. That's how I tell jokes.
Yeah,
Puns. I'm very
all
funny.
I'm all about that. I'm all about that. I have a little girl who literally just recently turned 1. So for the past year, I have been living my best life because I have been the biggest fan of dad jokes since I was like 9. So I finally had to actually like tell them and be like, "Hey, do the thing, like."
Yeah.
So
To
yeah,
embrace the dad joke life. Yes.
exactly, yeah. Let's do one more question, and this is the stupidest question that I ask people. Sometimes I get made out to be an absolute clown, and some people actually give me a really, really good answer. But what celebrity would you like to fight?
Oh, I was not expecting that at
No.
all.
See, no, nobody's expecting it, and some people are like, "Oh, well, I don't really like fighting, so I'm just going
So,
to like." Do you know what I mean?
are we
And I'm like,
talking
yeah,
about like I'm gonna like punch this person fight?
whatever a fight looks like to you, that's what you're going to engage this person in.
Oh man. Like I'm such like I can't even imagine fighting someone. Um,
I know this always makes me out to be an absolute like Neanderthal because this is my type of humor that I find hilarious. But
I feel like hmm, I feel like my easy cop out would be saying something like Taylor Swift because she's like one of my favorite musicians. It'd be fun to just like do some kind of like battle. Like I can't see myself physically like fighting Taylor Swift. I think we'd look like a couple of cats just like hitting each other. Um, Maybe I could fight like Dave Grohl or like Chad Kroger. Those are like two of my favorite. I love Foo Fighters and Nickelback, but it'd be so fun to like. But they're like two big men though. I probably like would just lose. But if give me a guitar.
do you want to hear? Do you want to hear something really, really sad?
Huh?
My interface cut out just as you started answering that. I didn't hear a single word of that. I
No.
literally just came back in with like
No.
Foo Fighters and Nickelback. That sounded like the best story ever. I could see you going and giving it all that. I was like, no, I can't hear what's going on. Oh, well, do
Do
you
you
know what?
need
Do
me
you know what?
to?
Do you know what? Don't. I'm going to listen back to this when I'm editing it. All right. I'm going to
Okay.
listen back when I'm editing it, and I'm going to experience this all for the first time, rather than having you go through it again. So if I wasn't laughing at the appropriate time, I'm very, very sorry. But this sounds like the most amazing story ever. Nickelback and the Foo Fighters. Oh
Yeah, like but with guitars, like I don't want to fist fight. I want to like give me a guitar and like Chad Kroger or Dave Grohl. Like
yeah.
let's duel. Can we dual wield guitars? Can we do like two
You
kind
could
of
do like
thing?
yeah, you could do like a Michelangelo Baio type thing where he's got like a 4-neck guitar.
Oh
And you
yeah.
and
That'd be
you could have like
cool.
2 of them and they'd be like throwing
Yeah.
stars. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That sort
Like
of thing.
if I that'd be super cool. Or like, I could take like a guitar cable. If I have like a really strong guitar cable, I could like whip the guitar, kind of like that, like
Yeah.
throw it.
Yeah.
It'd be
I
super
love it.
cool.
Like
Take an amp, just like
yeah, like that episode of The Simpsons where Homer went to like rock and roll fantasy camp and he had like the cable and he was like, "Woo, yes, I love it. Now you're talking. That's the job." You can get onto ZZ
See, it
Top and
makes
they could
it.
have some of those like spinning guitars on there. So like if Dave Grohl and Chad Kroger had their own quadruple guitar throwing stars, you could have your like spinning like ZZ Top guitars, like that sort of thing.
Yeah. You know what? I'd actually like to see Dave Grohl and Chad Kroger fight with each other.
Hey, now that's
That
a question.
That one sounds really
That
cool.
Oh, that's going in. That's going in. So now it's going to be what celebrity would you like to fight? And then, so if you want to fight Dave Grohl, right now, who do you want to fight Dave Grohl? Yes. It could be like Game of
That's
Thrones.
really
Or no, not
good.
Game of Thrones. It could be like the Hunger Games, as in like you volunteer someone as a tribute.
Yes, that's a good idea. You should definitely include that question from now on. I think
I'm
that's great.
definitely including that question. That's fantastic. Well, Michelle, this has been an absolute delight. So it has. I really just, I'm going to bed now with a lovely, warm, just kind of cozy feeling. Having spoke to you. This has been delightful. One more time before we let you go. Where can people find you if they're looking to get in touch with you? Just remind them really quick before we sign off.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. By the way, it's been such a pleasant experience just talking to you and chatting today. You can find me at my website guitargoddesstv.com, and you can find me on Instagram at Guitar Goddess TV and on YouTube as Guitar Goddess.
Michelle, you're an absolute star. So you are. Thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. It was incredible chatting with you today and getting to know you as well.